Hi, I'm Allison, a therapist in Davidson, North Carolina. For the past 3 weeks, I've been in self-quarantine at my home offering telehealth sessions to my clients. So I wanted to give you an updated list of the top 10 things that I find myself saying over and over and over to clients and offer that wisdom to everybody else. It's really important to feel like you have tools and tips when you're at home in this massive unknown. So here we go. Tip number 1, schedule out your day. The ambiguity of this global pandemic is causing enormous stress and trauma because we don't really know how it's gonna end and when it's gonna end. And for most of us, our daily rituals and routines have been disrupted. So our brains need that ritual. Schedule out your week and your day. If on Thursdays you do laundry, decide from when to when you're going to do laundry. If on Tuesdays you read to your kids, decide a start point and an end point. By starting at a certain time and ending at a certain time and really showing up for yourself, you build trust with yourself, and it's really satisfying for the brain. Tip number 2, schedule out stillness. So as much as we're talking about scheduling out doing, we need to schedule out time to be and being. So schedule out time for your meditation practice or prayer practice, some introspection. Maybe that's just journaling and being creative in that space. Whatever this space of doing nothing and just being looks like for you, schedule that out and meet yourself in that quiet stillness. Tip number 3, choice over control. Choose who you want to be. A lot of people I am hearing from are saying that they're trying to control the things that they can control, and that becomes kind of like a band-aid solution. It gives us a temporary sense of control and we feel slightly better, but long term, it's not that sustainable, and it ends up frustrating the people that we live with. So try and focus on choosing who you want to be in this pandemic rather than how you want to control the small day-to-day things. Choice over control. Tip number 4, move through your feelings. Under the mad usually is sad. Under the grievance usually is grief. So we want to let our feelings move through. I'm hearing from a lot of clients that they need to just vent and blow off steam. Allow that process, whether it's through talking to somebody or just in your own journal. Vent through the things that you're mad at and angry with and upset about, and then feel the grief. If tears show up, if emotion shows up, let that come. And then move through that grief and see if maybe there's 1 or 2 positives from the day that you can see. All your feelings are valid. They're all okay. We just want to allow them to move through. Tip number 5, do one thing at a time, which means avoid multitasking. And if you're like me at home, there are tons of things to do. I can see all the dust that I need to do and carpets need to be vacuumed. Try and just do one thing at a time. It's really easy to get derailed when we're trying to multitask, and we end up doing everything a little bit and nothing all that well. So pick one thing to tackle and do that one thing. Kind of put your blinders on to everything else that needs to be done and just focus on that one thing, even if that one thing is doing nothing. Okay, tip number 6, feel the gray zone. Find the gray zone. When we're going through a traumatic experience, and as a global people, we are going through a traumatic experience in this pandemic, we tend to shift into black and white thinking, which means it's all or nothing. So if you found yourself talking to a family member or your spouse saying you never do this, or you always do this, or you've done this 0 times, that's a good example of black and white thinking. Always and never tend to be cues that you're stuck in a black and white thinking, and we want to find the shades of gray. So see if you can reframe that sentence of whatever feedback you're giving to somebody without the never or the always. We want to try and find that gray zone and see the nuances of the situation. Tip number 7, when giving feedback, go towards the thing that you want, not towards the critique and the thing that's not happening. So for example, if you're wanting your partner or your kids to help out with the dishes or help out at home, say, hey, it felt really great when you vacuumed the other day, or when you stepped up and did some of those dishes or helped me out, or it felt so good to have that hug from you in this time of unknown. I would love more of that. Go towards the thing that you already have and look at expanding that rather than the thing that you don't have, because that can end up becoming a critique and a criticism of your partner, kids, family members, and that doesn't always feel very good, right? So go towards what you want and expand that. Tip number 8, with nowhere to go, we're now here, right? And so we want to focus on being here now. We're now here, right? So try, and I know this is so hard, to not think about the future and what this is all going to look like 1 week from now, 1 month from now, 1 year from now. Be here now to the best of your ability, which means how do you get through the next 5 minutes? How do you get through the next hour? And then how do you get through today? Just get through today. That's all you need to do. Be here now. And that's a really wonderful tip for our brain, because in the future, we aren't quite sure how it's all going to play out. It's like trying to put a puzzle together without all the puzzle pieces. There's big gaps, big holes there, right? So we want to put together the pieces we can put together right now. Deal with this present moment. Tip number 9, put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. I know a lot of us aren't traveling right now, but if you have been on an airplane, you might have heard that phrase before. Put your oxygen mask on before you help others. Make sure as a parent or a friend that you're in a good place before you try and help somebody else. And this goes off of Stephen Porges's work on polyvagal theory and how we sort of co-regulate off each other. Your kids are looking to you to co-regulate off of, which means imagine they're plugging into your socket and that your energy is now going to them. So if you're in a calm, grounded place, it's gonna be a lot easier for them to calm down and feel grounded. Just make sure that you're feeling like you're in a good place. So figure out what tools work for you. Does it work for you to go for a run or do jumping jacks or take an Epsom salts bath or be out in nature? Do the things you need to do for yourself before you try and help anybody else. The final tip, tip number 10, love and be loved. We have a lot of space and a lot of time on our hands. So we want to make sure that we remember that we're really loved. And I'm hearing from a lot of people that being cooped up inside all day, we're not always our best selves. And our family and our kids and our partners aren't always their best selves. It's so important to come back to that space of remembering that you're really loved, even if you're not feeling that or seeing that from the people around you. Start with knowing that you are really loved and then spread that love out to others. Focus on loving the people that it's easy for you to love, hard for you to love. Just try and spread that love. So there it is, the top 10 things that I find myself saying frequently over the last 3 weeks in self-quarantine. I hope you found this helpful. I would love to hear from you and hear where in the world you are and how you're managing. If you have tips that you've figured out on your own at home, please write them in the comments and let me know how you're doing. I'm thinking of all of you and holding you in my thoughts, my prayers, my meditations. So thank you. Please make sure to like and subscribe to this page. We're putting out tons of content. If there's specific content you'd like to see, please make sure to put it in the comments below. Thank you, and be healthy and well.